welcome everyone to AARP Wyoming's Video Voter Guide Series for 2024. I'm Tom Laycock with AARP Wyoming, and today we're joined by Albert Sommers, who's running for the Wyoming Legislature in Senate District 14, located in parts of Sublette, Lincoln, Sweetwater, and Uinta County. Good luck with all that campaigning. AARP has a proud 40-year history of nonpartisan voter engagement and does not endorse or oppose candidates. Nor does AARP make contributions to political campaigns or candidates at any level. Instead, we ask questions so our members understand where the candidates stand on important issues and can make their own decisions on Election Day. Today, we'll ask Mr. Sommers 3 questions, allowing for a 1-minute and 30-second response to each. Then we'll give Mr. Sommers 2 minutes to make his final pitch to the voters of Senate District 14. So moving right into it, Mr. Sommers, over the last 2 years, the Wyoming legislature has made providing property tax relief for citizens a priority. In your view, what's the most effective way to provide relief while balancing revenue needs for our schools, counties, and other entities that rely on property tax to maintain sustainable funding?
Thank you, Tom, and thank you, AARP. I think a quick review of what we did do this last year, which included the fact that we doubled the Veterans Tax Relief Tax Exemption Program. We capped the rate of any increase in future residential property tax at 4%. We expanded the property tax refund program, and we provided an exemption of 50% on primary residence for those over 65 who have paid property tax in Wyoming for 25 years. And the governor vetoed a bill that would have gave a 25% exemption to all residential structures. And so what can we do going forward? I think we can take a look at that 65 years of age and older program, 50% exemption, 25 years, 65 years of age and older. I think we can take a look at that. Should we reduce that from 25 years to 15 years? I think we should also take a look at the fact that on the ballot this election will be a constitutional amendment that will allow us to tax residential property tax at a lower rate, separated out and tax it at a lower rate in the future. I think that an eye on that in the ballots will help us develop a better tax relief for our people. And I think we just continue to need to look at these programs that we put in place this year and the ones that didn't get into place. And we have a committee that's doing that. And I think we'll continue to refine those.
Our second question for today. Wyoming's population of those aged 60 and over grew by 47% from 2010 to 2020, while the state's entire population grew just 2%. We know 64% of all nursing home beds in Wyoming are paid for right now by the state Medicaid program. What do you see as the greatest barrier to helping our older adults age in their homes and communities? And what solutions would you provide?
So Wyoming currently spends about $60 million of state money and nearly that much in federal money to keep seniors in their homes. And I think one of the things that we need to look at is property tax relief, right? If you can keep people in their homes, if people can afford to have a home or be in a home, then that makes it easier for them to remain in their home. And I think not only property tax relief, but is there a way to find more affordable housing in Wyoming? I think Wyoming needs to take a look at it. It's not an easy issue. There's no simple solutions out there. But I think examining that issue of affordable housing is important. And we need to invest in programs that help older citizens stay in their homes longer. This has to be a budget priority. The cost is significantly greater when older citizens are placed in nursing homes. The challenge is how to do this in our smaller communities, like the ones I would represent and have currently represented. And because the caretakers are so few, could we create like a home service special district and allow citizens to tax themselves, for example, to solve this problem? I think this will be one of the greatest challenges Wyoming faces in the near future. And I believe I've developed the relationships in the legislature to help solve problems just like this.
Our third and final question today. Emergency medical services are not considered an essential service in Wyoming, and in some areas, ambulance services do not have a sustainable funding source. Over the last 10 years, Wyoming has seen 16 EMS service providers in the state fold or consolidate with another service. What solutions would you offer for ensuring access to ambulance services?
So, Tom, this is by far the toughest question. Is this the role of state government? Is this the role of local government? Or is this the role of hospitals that care for these individuals? I do not believe the state should manage an EMS system for Wyoming. I do believe this is more of a local government issue, but they need to have the funding mechanism to help them fund this service. I know rural healthcare districts have been formed just for EMS purposes. Perhaps the creation of EMS districts that allow local citizens to decide if they should be taxed to support EMS, local control, local taxes. The state funds the purchase of some ambulances through a grant process. Perhaps we examine expanding that. But what happens in a bus because programs can get cut? And what do other states do? I think we need to take a look at that. I do believe this is a very, very tough problem. So examining what other states do is important. We do all that all the time in the legislature. And then what is the relationship between hospitals where the patient is dropped off and the EMS that is carrying the individual? Who really has that responsibility? And how do we make that a sustainable operation? I do not know the answer to this question yet, but I do recognize that funding for EMS is becoming an increasingly important issue that needs a solution. And I believe that I've shown over the years that I'm a solution-oriented legislator and willing to take on tough issues like this.
Well, thank you, Mr. Sommers, for taking the time to answer our questions. Now let's give you 2 minutes to explain why you think you're the right man to represent Senate District 14.
Thank you, Tom. And once again, thank you to AARP for all the help they provide senior citizens around the state and around the nation. You know, I think my experience, I think I've been in the legislature for 12 years. I think I've shown that I have integrity, that I'm solution oriented, that I can solve problems for my local communities and my constituents. I believe that I think the most important issues in my district are, once again, prioritizing maintaining our traditional industries of coal, trona, natural gas and oil and tourism, and protecting our legacies of agriculture and wildlife. I also believe that I believe that we need to grow jobs in all sectors. And I believe that education is incredibly important and local control of education. And I further believe not just in local control of education, but I believe that our schools in these small communities, like I would represent in Senate District 14, are really the hub, really the heart of our local communities. And so we have to maintain funding for them. And then I believe we need to protect our water. And that's not just the Colorado River water, that's the Bear River water in my district, but there's an increasing pressure on our water from out of state. And I believe protecting that is going to be one of the most important things that the state of Wyoming does in the next 50 to 60 years. I have and will continue to be a big supporter of mental health mental health support, both for adults and children. Our suicide rate is simply too high. And I'll continue to be a voice for better broadband in our communities. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sommers, for your time, and thank you to our viewers for joining us in this video voter guide. We encourage you to keep checking Cowboy State Daily and AARP Wyoming's Facebook page for more video voter guides in the days to come.